There we go. Okay. What's
Howdy,
up,
I'm
everyone?
here.
Can y'all hear me okay?
I can hear you.
You getting any feedback from me?
Nope, you sound crystal clear.
Thank you. I had to, you know how much shit I had to switch up just to get this to work? Dugan should be with us in just a moment. Tell your friends, text your mom, tell them Dugan's a coming.
I can
right.
hear that damn tree rat scrounging around behind me.
Hello, hello, hello.
Look at that.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Durgan Marshalley? How you doing?
Like I told you guys before, I did a quick little workaround with the software to be able to get us all to have the ability to stream on YouTube with only 80 subs. But I wanted to, we just had a podcast, a really important conversation, and we just felt that it was important to get the message out to you guys too. So you want to give it a few minutes to get some more people in here, then we'll jump in.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, cool. I'm loving what you did with your hair, Dugan.
What did I do with it?
It just looks beautiful today.
You styled it. It looked like you put some like pomade or some mousse in there.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of products, of hair products, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them. It doesn't matter what it is, just whatever kind of product. Just give me the product. I'll put it on. Put it in my armpit, in my butthole, in my hair, whatever.
You just go through the whole product line, just dumping it into your shopping cart to say, "Hell yeah, man, we're gonna try this out tonight."
I don't even care what's in it.
Fucking wild child over there. Don't even care. Paraffins. What's that? It sounds like a good time.
Look at old Glory, old tea-stained Glory in the background there.
Hey, if it wasn't for that revolution, we'd still be drinking tea. I like my coffee. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah, coffee's, man, that's the only shitty thing about this is the can't really grow coffee. I mean, I could grow one coffee tree, but like, what the fuck am I gonna do with that?
Yeah, that'll be gone in like the first day or two. I'm gonna roast them all that day.
Hey, can I tell y'all one of the number one things that I've been stocking up on for the Dug? Coffee, instant coffee.
Instant, ew.
I know. Hey, you know what though? You can drop it in your gums, right under your gums. You know.
Oh, Dugan, you can mix that with that winter cut, long strain, a little bit of that instant cup. Oh,
yeah.
We're gonna light up the night tonight, baby.
No, we're gonna get booted from the live stream.
No, that's not even a weapon. That's shipped to my front door.
Nice.
37 millimeter flare launcher. You
gotta love 37?
Yeah, that one's a 37.
Nice. That one's
yeah, 3 millimeters makes a big difference.
There's actually, it's so close. I mean, oh man. Here, I was really curious. I have like HK specs on 40 mil, like 40 by 46 millimeter, and when I got the thing in, I was like looking at it, trying to figure out the difference, like the dimensional differences is so close. It's like the actual, I mean, it is really close, really close. I mean, it's fucking super fucking close. That's 40 mil. That's 40 mil. I mean, it almost goes in there, other than the driving band. It almost goes in there.
Chalk round?
Yeah, 40 mil chalk round.
Dump that in someone's, yeah, never mind.
You put the instant coffee in there and you help out a crowd.
Yeah, right.
All right, let's just go ahead and jump in. What I'll do is I'll post it to our account afterwards for all the Dirt
right.
Pals can't make it.
Sounds good.
So Durgan Merschley, you want to take the floor? You want us to kind of start?
Let's do it like this. Why don't you give a synopsis of like what people think, right? Without giving the extension of that, and then we'll go into the extension. So let's like paint the scene. Say what this is first.
This is
Yeah.
emergency broadcasting. Tried to express to people and put a footnote in everything that we're doing here, for everybody to know what is being said now and what we're looking at for the future. So we're trying to make a post-it note, and we're gonna go off of that. Dark, do you want to cover what we talked about on, as Dugan said, on what the common census of what we're going through and the common mindset of American society right now?
Yeah, I'll kind of jump in and I'll start it, and Dugan jump in at whatever point you want. Basically,
Roll.
We're in a situation now where the common man has been isolated and has been shit on, and the common man is typically the Trump supporter, and what we're seeing is this total and complete bifurcation of the country to the right and the left. And as I said before a few times, if the country was a balloon and you squeeze the middle, it puffs out to the sides with enough pressure, and that's what's happened. And
kind of benchmark like the kind of the climax events that have taken place that have been kind of radically new for America. Just kind of, I mean, everybody's gone through it, but just kind of benchmark them.
Yeah. So basically, finally, most recently, we had the storming of the Capitol, and with the storming of the Capitol, it actually, what, Dugan, you go ahead and jump in. I don't want to butcher this.
Okay. Well, I would say if we go back, I don't know where to start because it's really a continuous thing, but like, what stands out in my mind would be 2012. 2012 would have been Sandy Hook and Trayvon Martin. And so both of those things are kind of the beginning of a pattern of things that became its own brand, as a, for lack of a better term, to kind of give a description or an idea of the pattern that evolves, right? Like it's like a brand, like a known pattern. So you have mass shootings where it's like indiscriminate mass shooting of civilians, using the weapons that are covered under the protection or the prevention of the government from making them illegal through the Second Amendment. And then you have Trayvon Martin shooting, which would be I would describe it in actuality as like an exploitation of and separation of races and classes of people to create them where they didn't exist as much, to make those concepts a little more solid. Going from that into the executive branch slowly becoming more powerful, considerably powerful every term, in an escalation, to the huge amount of debt that the country has taken on, the United States, in our endless progression here. And then of course we have like the original Trump presidency of 2016, and the antithesis to that would have been Hillary Clinton, and the numerous rumors and conspiracy theories revolving around both her criminal activity and her husband's criminal activity, and then like the entire history of Trump and Trump's family and Trump's association to both international banking and to Israel, the nation state, and to Rothschild House. And that brings us into the last year, which has been most of what we've covered in real time, trying to process and pull out the shape of something that's a little bit solid, along with some pretty, stark traditions that are kind of counter narrative, that a lot of which has sort of shown to be the case. And oh shit! Oh, my battery. Oh, let me switch to the old car here. Sorry.
Dude, and it's been
Can
a
somebody take
long
over for
time
a
since
second?
we heard a battery issue with you. Yeah,
I know.
take
I'm
over.
about to die.
I'll
Don't
take
die, man.
over. We've noticed that you're lacking the facial hair department nowadays. But other than that, basically the main consensus is there's been a polarization and a divide in this country from, black and white. Now we're the most racist we've ever been somehow. From, men being able to stand up and take control of their scenarios, and they're being put down in multiple different ways. Your political party is telling you to think one way, the other side is telling you you're wrong for thinking that way. Everybody's just being pushed and pulled and prodded from one angle to another, and
And then
everybody. Go ahead.
let me jump in again. So then that was like a really good description of like the emotional kind of heave and pull that everybody, not just the Americans, have gone through, but the entire world will have been watching. And then it leads into this kind of this unknown conclusion here that has been a constant buildup that people are very anxious to understand what's going on. And that would kind of really be accentuated with the coronavirus, which came out of fucking nowhere and had a huge global consolidated effort at locking everything down, closing down we all know what they say about coronavirus on like why, in order to stop the spread of infection, you have to have all of these regulatory controls. But the actual effect of it is people are kind of depersonalized through the mass. Businesses shut down. Huge centralized national businesses really took over and solidified and expanded their roles. Amazon's now talking about
Reorganization
building
of the wealth structure in
their wealth
America.
structure, the entire wealth structure, and doing it all under the guise of an invisible
Common
threat.
good.
And then we have the riots, right? We have uncontrolled riots coordinated throughout the entire United States with no ability of anyone to identify who they are or how they coordinated. And what the mainstream media on both sides wants to suggest is that it's just emotionally driven. Like people just woke up in the morning and were like, we're going to riot all at the same time because that's how we feel. And therefore, because it's how we feel, that's that's something that you shouldn't get in the way of, because it's a real, process that's taking place that is totally organic and and something that's necessary to deal with, right? And so you can't stop the riots because this is part of growing, right?
Yeah, not only was it not condemned by those in power, it was encouraged and it was funded by influencers and musicians and artists and politicians.
It was
Everybody that sold
glorified
you
and given the green light, 100%.
green light, the king's protection, right? It's the king's dictate, and then that goes into a very very one-sided. I don't want to say one-sided. It is one-sided. A very polarized and propagandizing press that provides the backstory and the bounds of how to think about all of this stuff that's taking place. They tell you what is right and what is left and what is center and where you should be at going into the future to be on the best foot, and what is out there and what is not proper to think. And the result of that has been that now you have this entire media apparatus that has said all of this stuff, that has spent all of their time the entire time talking about how they need to shut down Donald Trump. They need to shut him down. He's dangerous. So they've wanted to censor him the entire time, is what they keep saying. In fact, if you turn on CNN, if you've watched any of liberal media in the past year, they've talked about nothing at all except Donald Trump, in fact. And if you turn on anything with conservative media, they've talked nothing at all except Donald Trump. Now, there are a couple of other things that they are on the same page about. Typically Iran, they're typically on the same page. Typically China, they're on the same page. They're usually on the same page about coronavirus, they're on the same page. Trump, they're on the same page. Although they're on opposite sides of the page, right? It's like two sides of the same coin, but the topic, what you should be thinking about, that is the same thing, right? And then
But
now
I will
say
say with the mainstream media, the people or the media or the mainstream media that was taking Donald Trump's side are completely against him at this point. There's nobody that's on Donald Trump's side. Like completely, everybody pushed it all off to that way and said, "Oh, we're completely steering clear of this man. He's toxic waste."
they finally
Nobody needs to listen.
they have the mandate now. The people that sold you all this stuff this entire time and told you what to think, they now have the mandate and the actual record of the invasion of the Capitol building to justify censorship, right? And to censor the president. To censor the president. The president, who's very tied in to banks and very tied into Rothschild house, and very tied into Israel, he's being censored, right? He's completely shut down. What an underdog, right? This is the reason. Now, in terms of what are these two sides? The two sides are on the left, what we would call the left, because that's what's been created painfully and carefully and slowly over decades, with a lot of help from a lot of different people everywhere in the world. The left as an identity has been created. Did the United States ever have any kind of natural impetus to have any sort of communist idealization at all? I would argue no. I would argue that had to be funded and created in the first place. It had to manifest through the expenditure of money and resources and time and grinding effort. And now they got it. And they have
program people.
Yeah, they have programmed people, and they have got the people that are in big cities, which big cities are the closest to the source of money. How money enters the economy, it passes through. It goes now. If you go outside the big city, it passes through like agriculture or something like that, or like big state projects. But other than that, on a regular basis, the money from the money supply through congressional authorization and through recommendation by the Fed enters into circulation through all these places that are the liberal hubs of the United States. So they're closer to the money supply. If you think of it like an energy source like water, they are the animals in the stream that drink from where the water comes out. All the conservatives are further down the stream and outside of it, and so they're kind of like the animals that come to the stream to drink from it and then leave as they please. And this is kind of the but we're all drinking from the stream, right? That's the point of this, right? So on the left, you have the identity of your social types, your academics, your musicians and artists, your intellectuals, the people that operate more in the abstract rather than the physical. On the right, you have your firemen, your construction workers, your people that work at water plants, electrical plants, military, police. There's another distinction between these two groups. All of the guns are on the right. All of the people that can run squads are on the right. All the people that can operate and maintain aircraft and deploy mortars and artillery in a operational capacity are on the right. They're not on the left. You're not going to get a bunch of anarchists and academics like running 155s. You know, they're not going to be doing it.
Yeah.
They're not going to be going on long range patrols or holding rifles or shooting people for that matter.
There's
No,
not
without
enough
the
protein in
latte.
the soy milk.
Not enough protein in the soy milk.
We both did a soy joke at the same moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a distinction between the two identities. Now, there is a very good reason that this organic divide that no one can accept is created. There's a very good reason that it is divided along these lines, and that is because if we had a squeeze on the country, economic and in a conflict in terms of lives lost, the left is unnecessary. It is non-essential. The right is essential. You could take the left and purge them, just boop, delete them, and your right could go on and drive the country forward into whatever direction it needs to go after it goes through a choke point. The loss of life, loss of resources, and economic stimulation.
So basically, the left is basically been propped up and held up in such high regard, and the ones that aren't able to do as much have been given the power to say, you guys are the most powerful at this point, to be able to help with the polarization and that divide in the country, to be able to say, all you hardworking individuals, we're going to put all these mandates on you with coronavirus. We're going to lock your asses down. But all these other people over here, you guys are good to go. Go ahead and riot. And it's all mostly peaceful. You know, don't worry about the buildings burning down in the background. It's all good. You know, we're
Mostly
for
peaceful, but fiery protests.
Fiery, small amount of death. The left is completely expendable. Not only are they expendable, it's not possible to run any kind of regime or functional mechanic of a nation that is like under stress and shit is like important to get done in like a time of distress. That's not something that you want a bunch of Antifa types like running your country. It would obviously fall apart.
I feel like the left was basically propped up, hoping that the right was going to start shooting and, you know, hurting them, and just basically sending them out there like sacrificial lambs. And everybody remained pretty peaceful on the right side, and, you know, allowed them, for now. But basically, I think they were really trying to hope something was going to pop off a lot sooner than it did, and just realize that they have to push that bubble a lot further to be able to get it out there before they can make everybody start snapping.
Yeah, I mean, look at the right, and look at like what we were talking about, like the typical, person on the right. Like they have a job, they have a family, they have responsibilities, they run small businesses. It's not like the people that we saw rioting on the left that were on unemployment, making more on unemployment than they were at their job prior to losing it to COVID,
Yeah. Now, what they do all have in common is that both the right and the left, these are all Americans. So everybody involved here, we are talking about Americans.
Yep.
No matter how confused and used we are all Americans. And the other thing that we have in common is that whatever takes place in our future, we're all going to have to bear the consequence together. It's not like one side is going to be like skipping out on the ultimate outcome of this thing, good or bad. It's probably not going to be good. And the proper way to look at both of these right and left identities is that these are investments. They're investments, meaning that they're not money-making models. They are models of expending energy through money, through decades, to shape and continuously grind the shape of these identities, right and left, and that people naturally tend to drift away from them unless there is energy constantly poured out into maintaining and growing them. And that's exactly what has taken place, just like it took place in the creation of communism in the USSR, where it was,
the Bolshevik.
Birthed. Yeah, through Bolshevism. Yeah, through Bolshevism, and then its subsequent spread to China, which was the same people as the Bolsheviks. Now, so that's where we stand in terms of like the layout. Now, the way that the media is going right now, and the way that probably people that are consuming media, the way that they are looking at the situation is that like society is looking really grim. We're down and out. Trump is out. Twitter has banned him. They're openly censoring this president, and it just seems like there isn't much hope. Furthermore, you know, like it doesn't seem like there is any hope except Trump. Now, there's a very good reason for this, and that is the reason that we are having this stream here, because we are at a benchmark in the progress of this whole thing, and because the narratives are very well developed, it's a great opportunity for us to discuss this and to lay out an M80 in this sandcastle, and go ahead and say that this is the reason that Trump is the last president. Trump is the last president because the reason that the MSM in its liberal form has done nothing but condemn President Trump. Anything at all on the right and the left in the MSM, whether it be praising Trump or condemning him, as long as they're talking about him, that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
The reason why Trump is seemingly shut out of all MSM is to solidify his identity as an underdog. So now he is completely shut out. He has no resources. He's lost, right? So that when Donald Trump comes back, everyone will think, my Lord, this must be right because he was against all odds, and this must be the way.
So
and
what do you
everything
mean when Trump comes back? For the people listening, what do you mean by that?
Because Trump is not going to lose. Trump is going to come back, and he's going to come back by force through the people of the United States that are his supporters, that are the only people in the United States that have guns, the only people in the United States that are dangerous to world government as a threat, the only people that have the opportunity to wake the rest of the world up as to what is really going on here and expose it by being disobedient and not going with the program. It's a very vulnerable risk that has to be carefully monitored and carefully controlled from all sides. And that is why they run. Both the right and the left, both Biden and Trump are under the same banks. They have the same relations to Goldman Sachs. They go to the same talks and dinner parties. They're required to do the same things. Trump is a lot higher up than Biden. Biden is a lukewarm temporary stand-in. And Biden is there to do exactly what he's doing now, which is basically making himself the enemy of all of the American people by basically telling the American people that they have no power, the government has power, and everybody needs to shut up and sit down. All of this stuff is absolutely what is necessary, and not a fraction less than what is necessary to cause all the people in America who didn't pick up arms when their rights were taken away sliver by sliver, when their gun rights were whittled away, when their phones were tapped on a regular basis and they just accepted it, when they start getting pulled over on highways randomly and having DUI checkpoints and have to start like, you know, having insurance for their fucking insurance and, you know, wearing fucking corona masks. When all that wasn't enough to fight, it turns out you have to break the stakes a little bit tighter, a little bit harder to get them to kill people. And that is what all this is about, is that you are getting an investment through the media and your politicians to set up the exact story that you need to get mad enough, to have a sense of injustice enough to say, these are desperate circumstances and desperate times, and they require desperate actions. And so we're going to put aside our Constitution, and we're going to put aside our morals, and we're just going to have to shoot some people here to get some shit done. And that is the exact way that the Bolshevik Revolution was accomplished. And that is the
Dude,
exact way that the Chinese Revolution was accomplished. And that is the exact way that the United States will be lost, is through Donald Trump and Donald Trump's supporters.
Dugan, I think Kevin Murphy, he just sent in a comment, which kind of reflects upon how most of us feel about all this. Can you see that comment on your screen too? I feel like that dude in the Titanic who jumped and hit the propellers.
Trump is absolutely going to come back. And I want to take this opportunity. I've said it before, but I want to double down and make sure that it's beyond clear, so that when you see Trump come back out of nowhere against all odds, and no one in MSM was telling you that Trump was going to come back, and when you see Trump come back by force, when you see Trump come back by force, and you say, wow, this must be divine, this must be the turn of the tides, because no one could have predicted this. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that I'm fucking predicting it, so that when you see it happen, you know that it's bullshit. Because the chances of me telling you this, if I tell you this, the chances of predicting it are astronomical. There's no way. There's no MSM source that's telling you this. There's no alt media blog that's telling you this. This is clearly without any kind of investment in any of these parties. This is clearly what's going on. That Trump, the left and the right are entirely synthetic. They always have been, and this is the return on investment of all this. Do you really think that the country could move forward in any capacity, even if every conservative was just like, oh shucks, fine, I guess Biden won, and then we just went on like it was another fucking Tuesday? Do you really think that the country can move forward in any capacity with over $20 trillion in debt, a looming existential war, world war with China, and having Joe Biden as the president, and then having like another lukewarm candidate after that? Do you really think that? Do you really think that the Rothschilds have invested decades into Trump, that Israel has invested so much into Trump, and that they're so tied together, and that they're just going to let all that crumble? Do you really think that's the case? That is not the case. That is the picture show. That is
Trump
what
single-handedly had multiple peace deals happen with Israel and other countries where they nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, do you think it's going to be primarily the American populace that are going to be backing Trump and doing some type of uprising, or is this going to be a military insurgents with American people? I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I can see the American populace coming forth.
There are a couple of critical things that have to happen here. Number one, Trump has to come back, and everybody has to think it's organic. Number two, the way that Trump has to come back is to be circumstantially exemplary, where it supersedes all law. It supersedes the Constitution because of the dire circumstances. Because we were going to lose it all to socialism, that's why it's just best that we get Trump, because he's the last guy. Last vestige of Americanism, which, by the way, is exactly what the left and the right, through the MSM and the politicians and the pundits and the movie stars, have done nothing but sell you for the last 5 years, to tell you that there is no Americanism except Trump. They've taken the entire identity of America and put it into one man in the executive branch. Anybody else that is for defending the Constitution is kept in the dark, fed shit and kept in the dark like a mushroom. The only person that sees any light is Trump. And just because they say that they hate Trump doesn't make it so. And just because they say they hate Trump doesn't mean they're not talking about him. They're keeping him right on the tip of your brain all the time. The best way to make you think that something is extraordinary is to just control both sides. If I control the opposition and I make you look like shit to the opposition and make the people feel like you're down and out, and then I also control you and I tell my opposition, okay, now pull off. Now he's coming back. And now he comes back like a phoenix then you're just going to be that much more invested in him, and your entire investment in the Constitution goes away. Why? Because you just put Donald Trump in by superseding the Constitution. So now the Constitution doesn't have any meaning anymore, and that is now precedent. Once it happens, it's precedent.
So we have about 10 more days before Trump has to hand over the keys to the Camaro to Joe Biden. Is something like a domestic terrorist attack blamed on another country, such as China, Iran, something along those lines, the potential for him to be able to finally lock and load in that seat, where since, what was it, Clinton, Bush, Obama, they've all been putting executive orders in motion. So once you finally go to martial law in the country, they do not have to ask Congress for a renewal on it after X amount of time. And it's only when the commander-in-chief finally determines it to be safe and reasonable where he can release or relinquish the keys to the castle to be able to allow the three-party system to go back into effect. So I don't know if you're on the understanding of this, but basically, if we were to go to martial law throughout the country, the president does not have to ask for a renewal from Congress after, what was it, 3 to 6 months, something along those lines. That's out of the books now.
Everything is in place. So the in the broad sense, what you're going to see is a Trump takeover by all the people with guns. They're going to say that they're America because they are America, and America is tricked. And so they're going to take over America. There will be some purging of some leftists. So some leftists are going to get wiped out in a small sense, but that could be, who knows the scale of that. We could be talking about like a couple of people, prominent people going to jail, a couple of people getting shot on TV where everybody sees it, and that's it. We could be talking about civil war. Who knows? I don't know. But you're going to have a sign front of like, look, the left is done. And this is like, we're now moving forward. You're going to have, eventually, it will, like, once the theater part of it is done, then the actual work will start, which is going to be taking the new security apparatus, whose appendages have already been created. Like, all the muscles have already been created. It's just under constitutional control right now. But it doesn't go away once Trump gets taken over. So this entire bloated national security apparatus, in which no one has any idea of how big it fucking is, because half of it is classified, because of the level of like weaponization that has taken place, where all the police forces are basically militaries now, in terms of capability. They're basically missing some Mark 19s and 240s, and then they'd be U.S. Army. They'd be no difference. Give them some Bofors launchers.
Some of them do have Mark 19s, but it's for riot control. Especially grenades.
So what comes next after they do their little theater play, like giving it a leftist, that is where
we're losing you.
What do you got now?
Oh, perfect. We got it clear.
Nothing?
You were auto-tuning yourself a minute ago, but you're good now.
Okay. So once they do the fake work of their little theater purge of the leftists, then the real work starts, which is where your security apparatus turns on all of the people that seem to be a threat to world government. That would be people like me. Okay. Then they're going to come after us, and it's going to be a time of probably blackouts, and it's going to get really confusing. There's going to be a lot of people disappearing, and lots of death, and lots of rumors, lots of disinformation put on social media that goes around, where somebody says, "I'm the inside guy. I'm Q's gay uncle, and this is the skinny on how this shit works," right? And then it's just going to fucking go around on social media. Everybody's going to have a narrative for what's taking place. What's really going to be going on is that world government took this bitch over, and they're going through and killing all the people that would have fought world government, that world government has collected data on in the last 20 years, trying to build a map datum of who to take out. That's what's going to come. Yeah. Then after that, you'll get the Chinese war. The Chinese war comes in full-fledged force. Now, the Chinese war is going to be used as the consolidator to mend your broken hearts after you go through whatever this period of conflict is, so then you can all
To
pat each other on the back,
reunify
reunify.
America.
Reunify. Now, what you should understand ultimately is that the actual purpose of this is not money. The actual purpose of this is not even power. The power is already there. The actual purpose of this is actually retribution for something that happened a long time ago. And the people that are going to be getting the retribution may or may not be some of the people that are supposed to be getting it. But, the righteous and the wicked will get punished alike. And the purpose of all this is to destroy the United States. That is the only purpose of all of this, to destroy the United States permanently. Now, furthermore than China, what I should say with China, while the focus is on China, you should be aware, especially if you're in national security at all, and this is all new to you and you're listening to it, you should understand that Brazil is the main hub of South America for a South American attack through the South after we are weakened. So, for example, how that could shake out is anyone's best guess. But what it looks like, logically, when we are weakened by an existential war with China, depending on how far they want to go to drive us into the ground, Brazil is set up to lead a multinational alliance against the United States from the South and apply pressure from the South. Now, if you can imagine, a war with China would be pretty grueling, and we're going to see it because it's going to happen. But if you add in there like the South American nations coming up and saying that, the United States is rightfully theirs and we're Europeans that are here that took it over, even though the South Americans are Spaniards.
Are they going to be wearing
Europeans.
blue helmets, or are they going to be wearing their own uniforms?
That's tough to say. It could be blue helmets. There are activities like right now. You have Portugal is operating in Africa. There's a continuous conflict since 2012 of low intensity conflict, like village raids, helicopters, like bomb dropping and shit going on in Africa. So the UN has definitely been playing around in their sandbox on highly flexible kind of joint task force that can like strike forces that can deploy quickly and use a lot of different combined arms in their operations. It's a lot more sophisticated than traditional UN combat. Furthermore, the UN has been in serious big time operation in the United States for the last 10 years, entirely under the radar, because they really got an understanding that like Americans hate the UN and are completely paranoid about it, and they've understood that, and so they've used the model of using private entities to get hired out to do UN projects in the United States, but they are operating in all 50 states, doing projects, water projects, lending projects, housing projects, like all this stuff is happening simultaneously, and it's tied up with Amazon, doing fucking cloud contracts for the government, doing their Amazon's now doing buildings like low income housing for cities and stuff.
The CIA awarded cloud computing contract worth billions to firms including Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. Another one is saying, Mr. Luke K. So how do we get people to see what the F is going on? Is there any way? You
can try. Yeah, it's too late. You can try. And don't let me dissuade you. Don't let me dissuade you from trying. Try. You do whatever you can, because if you need anybody to tell you that like we're here and that this is it, this is what's happening now. This is what this is. So like whatever you needed to get motivated to do whatever it was that you needed to do to wake people up or to get ready yourself and prepare, this is it. I do not believe that the traditional model of conflict that we look at, like being, Vietnam War up until now, I do not think that it's realistic. I do not think that it's a winning game. So people that think that they're going to like go up against this hi-ho diddle diddle up in the middle and just shoot their way out, that is not going to work. I mean, if somebody comes to kill you or you're threatened, you've got to decide if you want to live or die. That's on you. I can't make that choice for you. But in terms of what is really going on here, in terms of the way that technology has changed and the war machine has developed, is for exactly the purpose that's coming up. And right now, all you have to do, if you go on YouTube, you can look up. There's a very quiet conflict going on right now in Azerbaijan between them and the Armenians, and they have a shitload of drone footage of highly effective drones dropping, HE loads directly into foxholes, like deep foxholes, deep enough to where when the Persian goes in the hole, you can't see him, like in trenches and stuff, and they're able to drop ordnance directly into the holes. Not only are they able to drop the ordnance directly into holes, they're able to do so from altitudes that are so high that the people on the ground have no idea that the drones are even there.
Dugan,
so this is widespread technology, and it's coming here. This is. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you've mentioned before. This is why you're a big advocate on don't go out there and fight the fight. Wait till the fight comes to you. Do what you can do. Show your, subservientaryness, hands in the air. Oh, I'm not here to fight, and live your life until you actually have to do something. Because you've mentioned
not exactly.
Before,
not exactly.
But you've mentioned before, if you go out there and you try to start conflict or you organize with people, now all of your cell phones are in the same room. Now they drop that one bomb in there, and your whole little militia just disappears in one flash.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think
exactly
the point
what you were saying on the other point, though, yeah.
The point is about this conflict that's coming up. Like what you got to understand is that they can take 5 guys at a computer in Virginia, and they can run drones into your backwoods where nobody's ever been, and they can use thermal to identify you through the foliage. And then when you have a foxhole and you're able to when you start resisting whoever in your area is bribed, whether it be police or stadies or whoever the fuck is going to enforce world government when they start coming down, whoever's going to take a paycheck, when you start fighting them with rifles and then you kill a bunch of them and you're successful, that now you're a hot spot. So now they have top-down organization and reason to send shit like higher technology, like the drone, like the modernized drone capability into your AO. Now all these guys that are like thinking that they're winning and shit, they're completely exposed. I mean this, especially the Azerbaijan conflict. I mean, you're getting like these are not very many drone operators. They're killing hundreds and hundreds of men, armed fighters that are skilled. These are clearly skilled fighters. They're ruffians. These are not like some dude. These
are battle-hardened men.
These are battle-hardened men
technology
that are good rifle fighters, and they are getting killed by like a handful of people with drones who are deployed. Like literally putting, one guy will have a computer with 10 drones in a holding pattern high enough to where people can't see, and they do the holding pattern because they can't pack enough ordnance on one drone, and then he just switches between drone and drone and drone, and he'll kill 150 people in a day. Like this is what is going on. And so the traditional model of like how we look at conflict, like particularly like the Iraq war and shit like that, it is not that battlefield anymore. And like they've been very careful about hiding that so that the public isn't really aware of like how this thing is going to shape out. The other thing that they've done, that they're getting ready because they've like in Europe at the beginning of the year, they started eliminating like sulfuric acid. So you can't buy sulfuric acid. Well, sulfuric acid is the main component in synthesis of pretty much, most chemicals, but particularly explosives. And that's the reason that they're doing it. Now they're claiming that it's for Islamic terrorism. It's not. It's for Europeans. They don't want Europeans, when this thing goes hot worldwide, they don't want Europeans building explosives to fight. The same things happen in the United States, but not by legislation. They've worked through the private sector to get manufacturers to pull precursory chemicals and elements from their products, like change them out or put in dilutants or contaminants to make them so that it's impractical to use the material to synthesize explosives. And this has all been done under the radar of the American public. But they are setting up a situation where when you realize how fucked you are and you're like pissed and you start to be like, I'm going to fight, they have already thought ahead of everything that you're going to do, and they're making it as hard as possible. They're also setting up tracking everywhere. Like they're setting up, they're putting micro stamping on CBC casings for 5.56, like in the fucking rim of the, like I have a case of CBC 5.56 that I bought from, I think I bought it from PSA. It's all fucking micro stamped on the bottom of the case. I mean, there's like, and it's not just ammunition, it's fucking everything. And they can trace through economic records. So through your using credit cards, like they can trace all this stuff. So whatever organic resistance builds up that isn't under the thumb will just get systematically squashed. And the way to beat this is that people have to, number one, it has to be brought to a public catharsis that there is a world government, and that you need to forget about all this conspiracy labeling and right left bullshit. Like the American public needs to come to recognition and demand that their politicians come to recognition that they're all bribed and that we are under a system of world government now, and they're doing a takeover, and that's what this is. And the second step is that the American public, particularly, they need to, which they're not going to do, but they need to become independent so they can't be manipulated into fighting each other and coming after the people that want to remain independent. So we have to work really hard and put our heads together to figure out methods and ways to create a opt-out so that we can force the government to recognize that we know that this is clearly wrong, and that we don't want to fight their controlled wars, and we don't want to fight under their puppets that they're going to throw up for sure, just like the Boogaloo Boys, where they want to throw up a completely monitored movement to use for their games, their right-left games, and know who's shooting bullets and who has weapons and who bought what. We don't want any of this stuff. And so the best way to do it, we have to, I mean, you don't have any choice. Your choices are, you can either give up and go with the flow, and you don't really have the right to do that because you don't have the right to do that, make that choice for the other Americans. And you don't have the right to make that choice for your children that can't make a choice. But if you go along with this and give up, you're going to make that choice for them, and that's wrong. And we have to get independent enough so that you can't be manipulated by hunger or by thirst or by lack of fuel or power to be pushed into some kind of either like socialist or like militia, like government controlled militia that's for the purpose of all of this. And the only way that you're going to do that is to take all the things that you need and start fucking producing them in-house.
These police officers throughout the United States have already shown there's been a lot of them that have backed out and quit their jobs and went to work somewhere else. And, in the Democratic controlled areas, and they were basically being told they're going to get defunded, this and that. And then all of a sudden it came down between, we've been without a paycheck for long enough, the American populace, and these police officers that are content and they want to keep on living their life and they don't feel like burdening themselves with finding another employment somewhere else. They said, you know what? I'm going to take this check and I'm going to oppress other people's rights, even though I know it's not right and I know it's against the law, but this is what's being told to me so I can keep on collecting check and still stay warm
and live the same way
in my house.
Yep. Live the same way and don't make any changes. And this is the entire game. The entire game is you've had systematically all of your self-production from inside the country sent out overseas through investment. It costs more money to Chinese to sell you products that are cheaper and then to ship them 7,000 miles to get here. That costs more than a guy down the street making the same fucking thing. So the difference has to be made up.
How is it so much cheaper though? Why is it so much cheaper? It's because of government incentives to be able to cheapen everything down.
The banks are covering it. They are covering it. They are investing. This is an investment to weaken you so that all this stuff can come to a head at the very same time, so that when you start to fight, your products are not here. Your raw materials are not here. You don't have the material to make barrels. You don't have the material to make shells. You don't have the material to make powder. All this shit is coming from, I mean, besides selected plants that are in service of government, you know, for like the domestic, like having tight domestic chain of supply for like specific purposes. Other than that, for general consumption, you've had everything taken away so that you're weak, and it's for this purpose. And so the only way back, you can't fight because you don't have anything to stand on, and you don't have enough ammunition or resources to level the amount of firepower and death that it's going to take to go that route, which isn't even a winning bet in the first place. You don't even have that here because you're going to be running on fumes like instantly. And so before, it's not even an option. What you have to do is rebuild all of the things that have been taken away. And the way that you do it is don't give them back to the government. Don't give them to the EPA that's been installed here to like oversee everything and shut people down by attrition. You can't. You're not going to be able to answer them. You're going to have to tell them to fuck off because they're communist, and you're going to have to start producing everything that we need to survive here, principally, which is fully compatible with the Constitution, entirely compatible. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And the politicians you're not going to be able to appeal to because the politicians are bribed, and so their pressure doesn't come from you. You can't even apply pressure when you go to them and say, I'm going to vote for this guy. I'm going to give my money. That shit doesn't matter. They get more money through doing what they're told than from anything that you would ever donate. They're never going to listen to you. It's a losing battle. You have to just make the shit. And we have to hope that somehow the eyes of people can be opened enough for everybody to realize this and realize that this is immoral. This is a beast that is going around the world devouring souls, destroying nations, ripping families apart, telling people that up is down and down is up. And it's for no other purpose than that's what's necessary to fucking take you down. That's it.
Doug,
that's all it is.
Question for you, because you're probably better suited to answer this. Whether you've never talked about it from everything that I've heard so far. I keep on hearing the biblical scripture, the mark of the beast. You can't buy, sell, or trade or do any commerce without the mark of the beast on your hand or on your forehead, something along those lines. What do you consider to be the mark of the beast? Is it the banking, financial, my credit card? What is it? Because I don't believe it has to be a mark on your forehead, your hand, or whatever. I think it's something
ultimately what this is. So if we want to go there, if we want to be frank, because these are kind of desperate times, and I don't really think it matters if I tell you this. I don't think it's going to make any difference. But for in an effort of honesty, what it really is obviously money is not real. So money, if you're not aware of this, is an entirely abstract, non-physical thing that has no bound to physicality at all, no crossover whatsoever. You may say, aha, we have the dollar, and the dollar has a relationship to gold, and gold is real, and so it's a reserve. That's not true. The gold price is set. Everything is set. It's a commodity. It's a physical thing. The money that you have faith in is entirely abstract. The value fluctuates up and down. It always has. The things that were so valuable as money centuries ago in other nations are worth nothing now. The value left, but the coins are still there. You can go and buy the coins online and people collect them, but they're not worth anything. They're worth what people find value in them physically, the numismatic value, right? This is because the actual identity of the technology of money is entirely abstract. It is not in the physical world. When I say physical world, what do I mean? I mean the world that we take for granted that is everything, which is what we see, touch, taste, feel, and smell. Money is not there. It's never there. It is completely illusory and taken for granted that it is there and that it is something physical that you carry around your wallet. It's not. And so way that all of this has been accomplished at all is because everybody's desire is only money, and that guides their dictation of what is right and what is wrong. That guides their identity of what is ugly and what is beautiful. It guides their path of what they choose is right and what is wrong. This is all wrong. We don't need money. We were here before money. Money came later. It's entirely abstract, but there is a reason that it's here, and it doesn't come from here. And I'll let you draw your own conclusions, and I won't make a suggestion. But it does have a purpose. Everything has a purpose, and it functions flawlessly in its purpose. But if you think that its purpose is for you to go buy some shit that you materialistically value, then you are not understanding what is going on.
It's a tool, just like the mask is a tool, just like the COVID numbers are a tool, just like everything that's been used against us to perpetuate fear. More specifically, over the last year, I'm talking about with COVID, the destabilization op with the fucking rioting. Like, all of those things are tools that have been used against us to to manipulate us through fear to prepare for what's about to happen.
Now, what I will say further with economics, somebody's got a question about indication of world banks are ready to crash the dollar. They are ready to crash it. There's a couple of indications. Number one, what's going on right now is they're just pretty much just pumping the dollar along to keep it alive on life support. They have been the World Bank, like IMF, has been experimenting with the island nations with blockchain currency. Now, here's the thing, right? And a lot of people speculate. A lot of people, I know that people saw the Fitz interview with the gal Fitz talking about the money changeover and how that's like central to what's going on. And it is central in a physical way. But what's more central, like the actual central role in all of this, is that you are to be destroyed in absolute wrath and vengeance. That is what that. No matter how insane you think that sounds, that is exactly what the purpose of all of this is. And if you are able to accept that, then you can begin to work out from there and put this puzzle together to where it makes a little bit more sense. Now, the money and the blockchain switchover is most likely, and I don't know this, I have to use logical deduction and speculation here, which is always could be an error. It is a very good chance that this Bitcoin that has seemingly like crashed and then come back and then crashed and then come back and like is always on the back burner and is the antithesis of the system, like the bad boy money that just keeps on going along, just like Trump.
We spoke to Cody Wilson about this. You had a great discussion about this.
Yes, and we didn't go into it because it's not, I don't know if Cody wanted to talk about this, but it seems a very good indication that the actual new currency will be Bitcoin, and that the entire past, however long it's been out, 15 years, has been the trial period. And that has been carefully disguised as being the like the alt currency, like the bad boy currency that doesn't play along. And it's been branded that way by the media, exactly the same MO as how the media has branded Donald Trump as the wild boy, the rebel. Well, Bitcoin is the rebel currency, and it's the only one that sticks around and keeps gaining steam. And when everything crashes, if everything crashed right now today, and the dollar just completely destabilized and everything is fucked, what are they going to go to? You think they're going to go to Ethereum? You think people are just going to jump on Ethereum? I guarantee you that Bitcoin isn't going to go down when the dollar crashes. I guarantee you that it's going to valuate heavily.
Yeah. And no one can say who created Bitcoin. And
no one knows.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery. It's just it's forgotten to the sands of time. We just don't even know. Like we don't even think about that.
I heard it was a Japanese guy that invented the Bitcoin, and something happened, and then all of a sudden it gets super murky, and now we have no idea.
Yeah, it's who invented it? The same people that gave you the Federal Reserve. That's who invented it.
Exactly. And then I can believe that more than anything.
They put it in they stuffed it down in your socks so you don't think about it, so they can let it grow and test it and work out all of its bugs this entire time. And now all that they have to do is wait for your dollar to crash. They don't have to send you a notification, the mail from the federal government saying, hey, we're switching over from the dollar now. Everybody's switching over to Bitcoin. They don't have to tell you that, because then you'll know it's the fucking government. All they have to do is crash the dollar and let you go to the strongest alternative that's out there, that's functional. What is that going to be? Fucking Bitcoin. It's the fucking central banks.
And you remember in the podcast, you had me read off what Thomas Jefferson wrote about going from the colonial script to the centralized banking system, talking about how people are going to accept basically pennies on the dollar, a 15th or a 50th of what they should have received, or basically some type of freedom coupon of some sort, when they should actually be being paid what they were justly owed. And if we were to deface and drop the dollar, I can automatically see that, we're going to be buying the Bitcoin, or, our dollars are going to be penny on the dollar compared to the Bitcoin. So if we had $10,000 in the bank, we'll have $10 in the bank officially usable as the new currency. It'll defund everything.
They may rename it. They may rename Bitcoin. They may make a new model and say, this is what we developed. We just went off Bitcoin, whatever. But it is looking very logically like Bitcoin is the central bank's project, and that they have let it cooked on the back burner this entire time. And that is what we're going to be going to. And for those people that are, I know there are a lot of tech junkies that are like, so invested. They're invested in Bitcoin like conservatives are invested in Trump. I know that there's a lot of people like that. What I'm telling you is that the entire basis of the faith of Bitcoin is based on its misunderstanding of blockchain technology, the misunderstanding, the granted assumption that it's impossible to crack, and that its security is it's known that its security is developed by the intercommunication of everything in the network, similar to the internet, which, by the way, was made by ARPA, like the predecessor to DARPA, the government, which is the central banks, made the fucking internet. And they assume that it's the same thing, because they assume it's a self-healing mesh network, and that it's validated, the ledger is validated by consensus of the network. Well, this all assumes that there are not gigantic fucking horizontal skyscrapers all over the planet filled up with nothing but fucking servers. This all assumes that there's not thousands and thousands of very, very thoroughly tested, synthetic identities of people that aren't even real, that are so real that they have social media accounts and go into commenting sections of that people call bots, right? They say, you see it all the time. No, bots. Shut up, bot. Right? This is assuming that all of that is just some Russian hacker that just has 10 accounts or whatever. No, don't worry about those giant buildings all over the fucking place out in the desert, all over the world. Don't worry about that. We don't need to know what goes on in there. It's national security, bro.
Quantum computing and Bitcoin was invented before quantum computing. This is the highest security that a blockchain can possibly have before quantum computing. Quantum computing can basically crack and hack the Bitcoin system in the matter of minutes, if that. And quantum computing is a ridiculous amount of processing power that can basically null and void any kind of encryption system, unless it's a quantum encryption system. So there's already another level on computing, and all these blockchains are below that. So
the point is that, okay, if you go back to 1913, you had Paul Warburg creating and pimping the Federal Reserve System and throwing it out there like it was just the bee's knees and the best thing since sliced bread. You all saw how that worked out. Okay, now fast forward from that to 2013, you've got Bettina Warburg, who is not Paul Warburg's daughter, but shares the same name. Obviously, his daughter, I think, died in the like several decades early at a very old age. But there is a very young Bettina Warburg who goes on tech talks and does nothing but pimp blockchain technology in all forms. This is the banks. The banks developed blockchain technology. And when you adopt blockchain currency of any flavor at all that becomes the global reserve currency, your entire transaction, no matter whether you're buying drugs on the street or doing a business merger or whatever you're doing, is going to, everything about the transaction is monitored through the history of the ledger. And so if a law comes out and says that you can't do this thing that you can do now by breaking the law and buying the thing that you're not supposed to buy, or doing the thing with your money that you're not supposed to do, you won't be able to do that in the future. And that is the point of
it'll already be recorded
blockchain
and
currency.
they can come back to you and bite you in their ass. Luke K, you need the internet and power for Bitcoin. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. If you lose power, you don't have internet. What does Bitcoin even matter at that point?
Yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid for people that want to be free. It's not stupid if you want to fucking put the entire planet in a head cage.
Yeah, we're getting some comments that are showcasing that some people may not be familiar with DUGAN's former streams, and that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, the point of this is a benchmark to say all this crazy stuff that you don't like to hear, so that it's fucking here, so that then in the back of your mind, when you're about to fucking put the Bitcoin cock in your mouth or the Donald Trump cock in your mouth, and then you watch it completely rape your country and you lose everything that you thought you had. While that's happening, you may figure it out 2 weeks earlier than what you would have, because you're going to think back, oh yeah, remember that fucking crazy asshole on YouTube that was saying all this crazy shit that was totally contrarian and that didn't go along with anything, and nobody else was saying it. They were saying the exact opposite, and it ended up being true. This is what that's for. So that you can have some kind of doubt seated in the back of your mind. And if the future comes and this is all wrong, then I will come on a stream and eat my fucking words.
We can share them together. I'll eat them with you.
I think
I will happily eat my words, happily, because it means that our future is a lot brighter than it seems.
Oh shit, Mike is here.
Dugan, I just got a notification saying CRS Firearms and has a picture of you on there. So I don't know if he's actually watching us right now.
He's on right now.
He's on right now with us?
Yeah, he said right on. This is me, CRS Firearms. It's
oh
Mike.
Shit! What's up, man?
What up, Mike? So to give a snippet of why we came here, is essentially everything that you've seen is a fucking simulation. It's a joke, and the purpose of it is to bring Donald Trump back into office against all odds. So all these leftist motherfuckers, are going to have a nuclear meltdown. All these, rightist, I guess rightist is a fucking term, are going to be the patriots, and everyone is going to get wiped the fuck out. So if you've not prepared yourself with water, food, shelter, security,
and not just stacking it up, not just going and buying MREs and filling up a room. You need to figure out a way. This is not about like surviving. This is about living the way that you're supposed to live, without being tied into something that will coerce you into being something that you're not, and doing something that you don't want to do because you have no other good choice. Like, this is the way that we're supposed to live. We're not supposed to have everything handed to us by tyrants. We're supposed to be providing for ourselves. And America is very far from that. And because we have and expected and demanded by giving validity to the system and making it.
Dugan, we lost you.
Yeah, we're starting to
Am I
lose you,
back?
brother.
Hey, David Kopp, we are not live right now. Just
Yeah.
don't even worry about it.
Don't ever bring
you're
that
back.
up.
You're back, Dugan.
Okay. It's not about surviving. It's about living the right way. It's time to stop putting it off. If you guys don't do this, you're not only are you going to be your own worst enemy, you're going to be the enemy of everybody else that's trying to live, that's trying to live for themselves and not be run by fucking tyrants. And you don't beat tyranny. You don't beat tyranny, especially these days, by just taking guns that you bought from the same fucking loans that the banks gave to the manufacturers, from using the stock material that they imported from overseas through the controlled distribution lines with their own political trade tariffs and bullshit globalization laws that they set up to even scheme the thing in the first place. You don't fight tyranny by stimulating all that, by using it. The way that you do it is by having something that's not controlled. Only then can you even whisper about defending yourself, once you have a ground to stand on to push from. If you don't have a ground to stand on and you try to push, if you push anything at all, it's because you're pushing the right direction for them, the people that are controlling you, the tyrants. You have to be realistic here and accept that we've given everything away, and there is nothing but the choice to give up and go with the flow, or start fucking rebuilding inch by inch, grind by grind, day by day. And the only way that you're going to do that is to do the acts yourself. Get your fucking ass in gear and start doing it now. Because if you don't do it now, you're gonna have to do it under the pressure. And I guarantee you that this is gonna get so ugly, you are not gonna feel good about doing that if you have to do it under pressure. I promise you, it's gonna be a lot harder. Do it now. Once you do it, you can spread it. You can help other people, and then we can start to build an actual platform. The way that you help people is by you can of course you can give them advice. You also have to not condemn them for trying to live and be free. You can't condemn somebody. Like we are not going to do this if we're just subjected to like random taxation and regulation and regulatory control from executive independent agencies like the feds and EPA and all these other bullshit organizations that are not in the Constitution, that nobody voted for at all, except the corrupt Congress that the people didn't vote for. They got shoved down our throats. You have to build something, and you have to support your neighbor in giving them the chance to build something for themselves. And when the politicians come down the pipe and they say, thou shalt not make your own fuel or collect rainwater, you've got to be man enough to say, God gives us the rain, and this is wrong. And you've got to mean it, and you've got to stand for it and be willing to take the consequences of standing for it. That is how you resist tyranny. Not by going and getting in some fly-by-night militia that you don't know who the fucking leaders came from, and they're getting bigger checks than fucking Donald Trump.
Don't be afraid to fail. The success is measured by your failure. So when you're finding your independence and you're building your own infrastructure, your water, whatever it may be, your failures are what is going to teach you how to be able to refine what you are going to do, and how you can learn your little cheat sheet on how to be able to teach other people around you to be able to streamline the process on making your own water, on growing your own food, on making your own electricity, whatever it may be. But don't ever allow your failures to hold you back. That's just a sign that you tried one thing, and now you have to try another thing to be able to move forward from there. Once you stop moving forward, you're not going anywhere after that. Go ahead, Dugan.
There's a comment here about the prepper community. The biggest hindrance of the prepper community. There is no prepper community. There are a bunch of people that are spending money on products that are supporting tyranny. Like it's you are feeding the beast cookies. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about using what God gives you, using trees like using a hedge tree that has 32 million BTU in a core and using it for heat, or using it to turn out, butylene and toluene and xylene, and having out of fucking nowhere like giant cans of stuff that you can trade industrially, but at every house in the United States. I'm talking about you turning out potable drinking water that you didn't pay anybody for, that came from the sky, that you as a man use your energy to keep and to give to your neighbors after you can provide it for yourself. I'm talking about people growing trees and like amassing thousands of pounds of nuts that then the walnuts can be used for fucking like shining your brass, and the nuts can be turned into all kinds of stuff like protein sources, animal feed, fucking milk, like milk extracts,
You can make
syrups,
fuel pellets out of them. You just compress them down.
fuel, like everything. I'm talking about I'm not talking about prepping. I'm talking about the way to live. I'm talking about going back to how we used to provide everything from ourselves, but having the advantage of all of the benefit of technology and knowledge that we've developed in terms of techniques to make things such a more horizontally strengthened
Essentially,
technological
you're talking
base.
about taking the same materials and products you did on the Oregon Trail, but not worrying about dysentery because we have more knowledge about things. You're talking about
Yes.
basically getting the common, from going from the East Coast and trying to strike your own land on the West Coast as, your own individual. You had no government, you had no police, you had no infrastructure to rely on. You had to build it for yourself, and you had to sustain yourself.
There were no police in the United States until the 1830s.
Yep. And on top of it, there was no water management. There was no electric company. There was nowhere where you can go buy your new axe head or this or that. You had to make your own axe handle. You had to do all these different things. You had to learn and provide for yourself the basic necessities to be able to survive off the land on what you produced. You did not rely on another man or another person other than your original initial supplies that you bought, and then you moved on from there.
And maybe you're not willing to make a forge and start turning out axe heads. That's fine. But what you are doing is voting and approving of laws that prevent people from doing that. So a guy can't make a business making a forge and just turning out axe heads, and that's all he does, and he's the fucking fastest at it. And he does the whole fucking thing out of minerals that he processes with acids from his land because he has a mountain with a bunch of fucking iron ore in it or whatever, right? He can't do that right now because he has to answer to all these fucking kings. That is what's fucked up about the United States. And every mom and pop and fucking person that holds up an American flag supports that system. And they say, well, I have to pay taxes, so why don't they? I have to follow the regulations, so why don't they? Why shouldn't they get away with it? We cannot fucking escape if you don't let go of this. We have no future. And if you don't do it, you're going to get what's coming to you, and it's going to be absolute destruction. Make no mistake, the United States is gone. It's fucking dead, and it got handed over without a fight because of people's short-sightedness and their lack of intelligence and awareness.
For absolute destruction.
Yeah, and you are slated. You are slated for absolute destruction. Die by the sword, man on man. That is what is coming, and that is what the intent of all of this is. This is not. Do you think that when they're putting transvestites in libraries in major cities and running news stories about it like it's a good idea, do you think they really? I mean, I'm not talking about the anchors. I'm talking about the people that dictate the flavor of the type of emotion that's on news. Do you think those people aren't intelligent and that they don't understand that this is totally fucked up? They understand that. They are driving you to action. This entire thing is a giant buildup, and you are set to kill each other. And you're all brothers, and you're gonna fucking do it if you don't make changes. I'm telling you, you didn't have the foresight to escape in the past. You're not gonna have the foresight to escape in the future if you keep doing the same thing. You will be maneuvered into conflict with each other, and you will kill your brother. And that is what is going to happen. You need to make serious changes right now to escape that. And if you don't do it, and you go to kill your brother, and they kill you, there's nothing that, I mean, what do you say at that point? Like, if you step up to the plate and you create that reality, that's what you're going to create. So create a different reality now in the limited time that you still have, because it's very short now. The earlier that you wake up.
I was going to say Maverick Shooter, we're not talking about off the grid survival. We're talking about having your understanding of how to live off the grid and to be able to survive. If you're in a city, if you're out in the country, whatever it may be, it's not about off the grid survival. You should already start working on your preparations to be able to live off the grid. And it's not even the grid. You want to make your own grid. That is exactly what it's coming down to. Your independence for food, water, shelter, heat. That is it. So it's not off the grid survival.
This entire thing that is going on ultimately is a test, but it's a test that we are failing miserably over and over again. And when you look at the world like, I just like money because it's simple and it's easy, when you look at it like that, what you have to realize is that you could take any headline out of any paper in any state in the United States or any province in any country in the world of a murder where it says woman kills man, like woman kills husband for $30,000, man kills best friend for, $200, man shoots man in parking lot for $5. All these things, if you scratch out the $5, because it's clearly, it should be beyond clear that money is completely abstract and not real at all.
Yeah.
At this point, at least at this, if you couldn't figure that out in the 90s or the 2000s, you should at least be able to understand it now, looking at that debt board in New York City, climbing up. I don't even know what it's at. It's well past 20 trillion. If you can't look at that right now and understand that this is a complete magic trick that has no bearing on reality other than your suffering, then you are lost. And this, if you took those newspaper articles and if you crossed out the $5 that the person killed each other for, or the $30,000 that the woman killed her husband for, or whatever, and then it would just say nothing. And that headline would read, woman kills her husband for nothing. That's what it would read, because that's exactly what the fuck is going on here. And you are all being tested and you are fucking failing. We are all failing. And all of these politicians are not going to stand up for you because they don't give a fuck about you, because they are evil. This is absolute evil.
Pure fucking evil.
You know that. And you don't fight evil with evil. The way that you fight evil is you got to make light. You got to make something good. Well, to do it, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some dissent. You're going to have to look evil in the face and say no. It's the only way. And you're going to suffer for it. And people are going to die.
So a couple things I want to say really quickly just to address it is, guys, we have, this is a new channel. We have a lot of new subscribers from other channels like CRS Firearms. So be nice in the comments. I'm seeing some people say like, things like, haven't you been watching and haven't you been following? We're coming up on a year of, DUGAN's videos, okay? We've
over a year, multiple different channels, dude.
Yeah,
dropped.
Like, so just this is exactly what we're talking about: being kind and sharing information and meeting people where they are at. Okay.
Here's a headline. Here's a headline for you: single mother with 5 kids sucks random strangers' dicks on the highway. 10 of them in an hour for nothing. That's what you should be thinking about. There's no fucking reason. This is fucking insanity. This is the only reason that you've got people in libraries, transvestites reading to children and parents taking them in there, is because they're all pressured from money. Because they're all going after money. Because the parents going, this is what I'm supposed to do, because this is the way of the future and progress, because I have a job, and my job makes me wear a COVID-19 mask, and I have to fucking go to work to pay my fucking bills and the fucking ransom money for my insurance and whatever the fuck else they're being charged. They're just having everything stolen from them, including their taxes, which are well beyond 30% for most people, especially anybody that's a business owner. And then Ben Franklin, in the founding of this nation, said that he quoted as saying it should never, the highest it would ever be, if reasonable, was 10%. Direct quote from Ben Franklin. Now, I don't even agree with that. I think there should not be tax at all. But if you're gonna say that you like the founding fathers and respect them and shit, then you have to take some heedance to their words. And Ben Franklin said 10%, motherfucker, and you are not at 10%. Like, this is a bad situation that we
That
are
was
in.
10% of what a man's worth is.
Yeah, a man. Yeah, a man. Not even. That's before they tricked you dumb motherfuckers into sending your wives out of the house so they can be just as enslaved as you and split your labor pool or double your labor pool times 2, therefore increasing the supply of labor, therefore decreasing your pay, which is why all of you have to work more and more and more. Like, did the value of did the relative value of how much water you have to drink in a day change? No. Did the relative value of how much wheat like you need to have in your diet change? No. People are still people. The rain still falls. All these things are still the same, but you got fucked. Why? It's because you're fucking following money. You're not following reality. You're not following truth. And all these people that, are rich right now, leading this nation into ruins, they're all gonna go away. All this stuff is going to go away ultimately. This isn't about right or left. The people that are doing this is not about right or left. This is about killing a bunch of you. This is what it's about. By your own hand. It's not going to be the people that are doing this that are going to come there and put a gun to your head and pull the trigger. It's not going to be the people that are going to be the people that are really running this country are not going to be the ones that kill your children. It's going to be your neighbor. It's going to be the people in your city. Yeah. That is what. So you have to start right now, waking people up, and the only way, and you're not gonna have good success because it's too early still. And people, when this goes really bad, you're gonna have a bunch of predators come out there like Jim Jones, fucking sucking up brains and hearts left and right, and they're gonna lead them into absolute destruction. You have to first take care of yourself, and you have to make something, and you have to make something with your body and your mind, your physical participation here on Earth, with knowledge. You have to get a little bit of knowledge and experience. Experience is more important than knowledge. We were talking about that in the last podcast. You got to get the experience. Don't be afraid to fail. Fail as much as you need to now, so that you're failing in comfort and not in misery.
Yeah,
and then you'll get success.
Yeah. The thing about that is, like, you don't want to, there's a saying, you don't want to practice on live bait, right? So practice while your life isn't on the line if you fuck up. Like, this is the time that you get the opportunity to, learn how to, pull water from the sky, find resources to become as self-sustainable as possible. Make drastic changes, move your family, get out of the city, do
a little test. Go. Okay. Do one test. Say, okay, I've got a weekend. Okay. Boom. Start of the weekend. I'm not going to use anything that I buy. And then have a little fucking notepad and go through your day and say, I'm not going to buy anything. How do I get through my day? How long do you get? Is it like an hour? Is it like whatever? Well, as soon as you have to use something that you're going to buy, you might want to put that on the list. And then you can say, oh, I had to get coffee. I had to drink a coffee in the morning. Okay. Did you have to have a coffee? Yeah, you had to have a coffee. Okay. How are you going to get coffee beans? I had to drink a glass of water. Okay. Did you have to drink a glass of water? Yeah, because you're going to die of dehydration if you don't. Okay. Well, you're paying for the water and you're getting fluorinated water through the fucking municipal water with chloramine and chlorine, free chlorine. How do you, they can shut off at any time. Okay. How do I take care of that? Come up with a plan for that. Go through all the things. You turn on your heat because it's cold. Okay. How are you going to heat yourself if that gets taken away? Now, I'm not saying that you're going to lose all that stuff. Like, it's just going to go away. It's not going to go away. They're going to say you have to do what we say because this is our heat. You have to do what I say because this is my water. You have to do what I say because this is my coffee. And you have to shop in my stores with your fucking COVID-19 mask on.
Here's a scary one. Just like what you were just saying, figure out what you need on a weekend. How about you start on Friday, and let's just say Saturday morning you wake up and you have to find yourself a fresh water source. For Saturday and Sunday in the totality, you have to be able to provide and find your own fresh water source without opening up the tap. go for there and, find out how easy it is to get your own fresh water, because you can go without food for, a week or two, but water, you're a couple days out before you're done, my friend.
Yeah.
All
You
right,
can
I
get
think this.
2 clear bottles. Sorry, go ahead.
Nope. I think that like we've gone for a while. We're an hour, over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten the point across. Do either of you guys have a computer in front of you?
Yep.
All right. Can you look up? I want you to look up the Ezekiel's prophecy of Edom.
You said Eden or Edom?
EDOM. Maybe it'll be under against Edom.
Against Edom. Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, so Ezekiel is a Jewish prophet, very important Jewish prophet. Now, can you read that prophecy against Edom?
Yeah. Can you still see me when I go off or no?
Yeah, I see you.
Okay. A prophecy against Edom, says 35. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, set your face against Mount Seir, prophecy against it, and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Mount Seir, and I will stretch out my hand against you and make you a desolate waste. I will turn your towns into ruins, and you will be desolate. Then you will know that I am Lord. You want me to continue?
I want you to go until you get to Edom.
Got it.
Or skip ahead to Edom. Either way.
I can jump on here. Because you have harbored an ancient hostility and delivered the Israelites over to the sword at the time of their calamity. The time their punishment reaches climax, therefore, as surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will give you over to bloodshed, and it will pursue you. Since you did not hate bloodshed, bloodshed will pursue you. I will make Mount Seir a desolate waste, and cut off from it all who come and go. I will fill your mountains with the slain, those killed by the sword, and fall on the hills and valleys and all in your ravines. I will make you desolate forever. Your towns will not be inhabited. Then you will know that I am the Lord. Because you have said, these two nations and countries will be ours, and we will take possession of them, even though I, the Lord, was there. Therefore, as surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will treat you in accordance with the anger and jealousy you have shown in your hatred of them, and I will make myself known among them when I judge you. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have heard all the contemptible things you have said against the mountains of Israel. You said, they have been laid to waste, have been given over to us to devour. You boasted against me and spoke against me without restraint, and I heard it. This is what the sovereign Lord says. While the whole earth rejoices, I will make you desolate, because you rejoiced when the inheritance of Israel became desolate. That is how I will treat you. You will be desolate, Mount Seir, and all of Edom. Then they will know that I am Lord.
And the United States is Edom. That's all that you need to know about why this is happening and what is going on.
Damn. Well, fuck.
I can feel you on that.
And amen. This is the correct way to
Amen.
go out on that.
Woman.
Don't you start with that shit.
Did you hear about that? You're not
Yeah,
allowed to
we
say
heard
that
about that shit.
anymore.
It's horrible.
Well, I hope everybody understands the severity of what we're talking about. We have people in here asking about timelines, asking about when.
The timeline is now. It's
Yeah.
already started. This train is not going to stop.
What's the best
already
time to plant a tree? 20 years ago or today?
Obviously, 20 years ago, planting a tree would be better than today. But today is the only day you have to be able to plant it, or tomorrow. But plant them as soon as you can.
I know this is kind of a somber stream, and I apologize, but you guys have to know the severity of this shit, because it will fall right in front of you, and you will understand exactly. You will go back to this moment and think, damn, like, why did I not take action when I had freedom? Well, what we currently consider freedom.
And if you're watching this and you listen to that prophecy, everybody has a different sight. Everybody has a different idea of things. Now, a reluctant person that's foolish would look at that and they would say, "Well, I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in God. If I'm an atheist, and this has no bearing on me." What I'm telling you, I'm not here to convince you of anything. What I'm telling you is that this is what's going on. The people that are destroying your nation very effectively, more effectively than you could ever do if you put all your heart and soul into it and tried to coordinate with a bunch of other people and tried to do the same thing to anybody else, you wouldn't be able to pull it off. This is so interwoven and so complete, the way that this has been carried out, and that's plain to see. And no one else could pull it off. And I'm just telling you that this is why. So if you don't believe it, that's fine. The people that are doing this believe it, and they're the ones that are doing it, and they're effective. And that is what I'm telling you. I'm not telling you what to believe. You're going to believe whatever you believe. I'm telling you that this is what's happening, and reality is on.
Yeah. That was actually the name of our last podcast. So if you don't know, we also have a podcast called Dark Light Dugan. Check it out. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Anchor, and like 11 other platforms. We're trying to get this information out so we don't have to step over your corpse. And if you need anything, you can email us at darklightdugan@gmail.com or thedarkestmavis@gmail.com. And that's it. Fellas, you got anything you want to close out with?
I love you guys.
I love y'all too.
Yeah,
I just want to say I don't plan on monetizing the podcast or anything else. That would just go against everything that we're trying to talk about here. All we're trying to do is just be able to spread the word and be able to get people educated. And you guys are our ambassadors to be able to spread the word around. And we can only go from there. So one drop in the bucket ends up becoming an ocean over time. And maybe we might not be able to influence a lot of things, but we may be able to change a couple people's outlooks, and they may be the the dividing point in the future where they are
right place, right time.
Exactly, and be able to help out other people and go from there. So I absolutely love all of y'all. Oh, is that Mike Honcho? What's up, Matt? How you doing, brother? Thank you for having us on your podcast. We do appreciate that, man.
Mike,
we
did
look
you share our
forward
podcast?
your YouTube channel. We would like to have you on our podcast here in the future also. But definitely, anything else from you, gentlemen?
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Good night, y'all.
Y'all take it easy. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Later.
Bye. Are we still rolling?
Yeah, I want to see. I want to make sure this that it stays up. Let me see if I can leave studio or in broadcast. Hey, Mike, if you're still there.
No, his name is Matt. Mike Conscious is his screen name.
Oh, that's right, dude. I'm sorry. Hey, people call me Mike all the time too. CRS Firearms. If I click end broadcast, will it still post to my YouTube page from StreamYard? And then the 10 to 15 second delay. Be ready to back up our military. 50% of our military is going to canoe our fate.
He said yes, it will.
All right, y'all. Nighty night.
All right. Hey, Matt, hit me up tomorrow. And if you want, we can schedule to figure out when we can get you on, when it's convenient for you, whatever it may be. We are going to have, what's that gentleman's name with the GOA that we have coming on?
We're gonna have John Crump. He's one of the regional badasses of the Gun Owners Association of America, and we're going to possibly have one other person come on our podcast that would fucking change everything as far as broadening our exposure. But I'm gonna wait for that. So,
Yo, we also had Cody Wilson on not too long ago, man. That was a fun one. We're gonna have him on again.
Cody Wilson, yeah, that was badass.
But we're gonna expand from the podcast to the YouTube channel and back and forth when we can, and try to build up everything from there. And hopefully, at least on the YouTube channel, we can take live comments on the podcast. It is a basically any one of y'all gentlemen that conversation with us, and we can end up taking it from there. So reach out to us on any of those emails, and love y'all.
All right, y'all, take it easy. Peace. Oh, how's it go? Be safe and be very dangerous. All right, y'all.
All right, gentlemen.
Love you.